Hi, my name is Blue Warlord, and in this video I will try to explain how to use the Morgdkp2 system from a MasterLooter perspective. Before we start, let's give an overview of what the system is and how it works and what part is actually covered in this video. The Morgdkp2 system consists of several components, and in this picture you see an overview. The elements it consists of are actually two add-ons that are residing in WoW. One is called Morgdkp2, which every raider in your raid should have. This is the add-on used to kind of show the loot to the different raiders, and they can make their wishes know whether they want to have the loot or not. And the add-on that is being used by the MasterLooter called Morgdkp2. And of course the Morgdkp2 add-on communicates to the Morgdkp2 add-on in-game, using the add-on communication channel. If the raider doesn't have the Morgdkp2 interface or add-on installed, then he or she could use the whisper system that's inside Morgdkp2 instead, and whisper commands to the MasterLooter. However, it's very inconvenient, so I strongly suggest to go with the Morgdkp2 setup. Morgdkp2 handles all the loot and DKP tracking in-game, and it is designed in such a way to cooperate with different website DKP systems of the EQDKP plus flavor. It could be EQDKP original or EQDKP plus or EQDKP plus some other variant. The way it works is that the Morgdkp2 add-on that the MasterLooter is using gets the latest DKP standing from the website. It's being exported into a dkpinfo.lua file, which then the Morgdkp2 add-on reads in. And when your raid is done, so you do this for every raid, you export the DKP string back to the website. And in this way you can easily change the MasterLooter that you have per raid if you want to. And also your members can check up on the website what items they already had, what their DKP standings are, etc. when they're offline, not in the game. And in the game itself you use basically Morgdkp2. This video will cover how you as a MasterLooter can use the Morgdkp2 add-on and how it collaborates with the Morgdkp2 WoW add-on. It will not cover how you import and export to the EQDKP website, because this is dependent on which flavor of EQDKP you have, whether you have EQDKP original or EQDKP plus. So we'll have separate videos for those. So that's kind of the context. Let's move on to what do I need to install, or the preparation part. So as you can see from this picture, you need to install two add-ons. One is called Morgdkp2 and one is called Morgdkp2. And if you can click on the text that you see in your screen now to go to the pages where you can find these from Curse. And besides this, you also need to have a data broker visualization add-on that Morgdkp2 integrates with, so you can easily use the Morgdkp2 add-on in-game, so it's easily accessible. And for this demonstration we are using the Bazooka data broker visualization add-on. Go install those. Okay, once you have installed the three required add-ons, Morgdkp2, Morgbit, and a data broker visualization add-on, for example Bazooka, the next thing you need to do is export the DKP standings from your website, which we'll cover in another video as I said before. You will find a link here. Once you have done that, then boot up WoW. And what you first will notice is that you will have a lot of add-ons on top of your screen appearing. This is because Bazooka is kind of showing all the add-ons that you have in its standard interface, and to change it you go to interface, add-ons, Bazooka, and then you go to plugins, and you, every plugin that you don't want to see, you disable the one you want. Important bit, of course, is that you do enable Morgdkp2. Make sure that you show the icon and the label, just for convenience, and the text as well. Okay, then you have Morgdkp2 enabled, and you will notice that it's standard on standby, and you just left clicked on it once to enable it, and you will see that the icon has changed from a gray thing to a blue purple kind of thing. Furthermore, you will notice that a pop-up menu comes up, and you can select items in this pop-up menu. You can also see the instructions for how the different clicks are working with the add-on. Morgdkp2 configuration, we're going to split it up in two parts. So first I'll tell you what the general configuration is, and then I'll show you what you need to configure on a per raid basis. And once we've done the configuration, I'll show you how to do the actual raiding and looting and the DKP tracking of it. Set up for Morgdkp2. So you have enabled Morgdkp2, and the first thing you need to do is select the main DKP pawn that you exported, which is covered in the other video. So click here and select that one, the one that you made, and also set the quality threshold to a level on which you want to track the items. For demo purposes, I put it here on uncommon, but in the raid we typically use epic level. Furthermore, you will see that there's something called start rate, end rate, export rate. These are the things that you use to start tracking and export the DKP string back to the website. But most of the configuration actually is done in the configuration menu, which you can access by right-clicking on the Morgdkp2 button, and you will get something like this. The most important thing you want to have on is AutoZone. AutoZone means that Morgdkp automatically enables when you enter a raid zone, and this is really handy because if you don't do it and you get disconnected, you might forget to turn on the add-on again, and you don't track any DKP when you hand out loot. So make sure that that one is on, and we'll walk you through the options that are important now. So first up, under core modules is core options, and you can already see a lot of options here. MasterLooter DE mode is important if you want to make sure that disenchanted items are correctly handled, so your disenchanter doesn't get charged DKP for handing out items, or disenchanting items, I mean. Then other options to think, here's the whisper system that I showed you in the context menu. So by default it will whisper all the members in the raid even if they have the add-on, so we leave it out, and to kind of encourage people to be installing Morgdkp2 to make the system optimal. We in our guild have the rule no more raid, no loot, and that typically seems to sort out any add-on issues because people are really eager to get their loot. The other one that is important, you might want to turn on or off, are the link to raid and link to guild. What these do is that they automatically whisper a message to the raid and the guild chat that show what loot has dropped with item links to the raid and the guild chat of that particular boss. And it's very nice to do the guild chat as well, because everybody who is not in the raid can actually see what fat loot they're missing. The invite DKP format option simply controls the sorting of the invite tablet, which is accessed by shift left clicking on the Morgdkp2 button on the top, by either DKP balance, the DKP earned, or total attendance. For example, the attendance is really handy if you want to invite members to the raid based on their previous attendance. So this is the option to use. I'll show how to use the invite tablet option later in this video. Eye level determines what minimum eye level should be tracked in the database. Morgdkp kind of remembers per item how much DKP it is. So you only have to configure it once when the item shows up. And you don't have to do it again later on. And this is kind of the filter, okay, which eye levels should it remember and which ones it should forget. More important options are kind of on the bottom, which is called Morgdkp2 options. This determines what kind of text and what options members in your raid will see when you are handing out loot. The first biggest one is called Morgdkp2 updating, and actually we use it in a off way. What this does, it will only show people what other people have done once they have made their choice, when it's ticked off. If you tick it on, then people can see real life updates of what other choices people have made in the add-on. So for example, if you do a single round of bidding, for example, you want to turn it off, because then people cannot see what other people have bid on a particular item. You can define different levels at which you can appreciate an item, so you can have need, take, off spec and pass, but you can customize this in the add-on, so you can assign other labels to it, whatever categories you use. Morgdkp2 nag is very good because it reminds people to update their Morgbits if they have an out of date version, and use off spec if you want to have an extra button for off spec use. That's the one that we use. So standard Morgbit has 4 different options per item. You have a need, a take, an off spec and a pass. Need means that is the highest priority, take is the second priority, and off spec is the third priority. And pass is the lowest priority. Okay, so those are the core options. In DKP tracking, what you want to enable is start event. If you want to track who was there at the start, depending on whether you use EKDKP Plus or EKDKP normal, you want to enable or disable this one. So if you are using EKDKP Classic, you just leave this off. The DKP listener option is automatically enabled or disabled depending on whether you are the MasterLooter in the raid. If it's enabled and you're not the MasterLooter, it will ensure that the loot pop-up window of Morgdkp2 will not show up when you loot something. Export format should be Morgdkp2. You want to have events for DKP changes, you want to remember kill times, and here you can set how much DKP should be given at the start, if you're there in the raid. And this is the minimum attendance people need to have to be allowed to needing stuff, but we don't use it, so it's 0. And this is the start DKP that people get that are just freshly joining and are not in the database yet, so that should be 0. You want to start at 0. And the new member initial attendance setting works together with the rated random DKP module, and it is used to define what weight new members in the raid have when they have not been previously raiding with you. If you put it by default, it would be 10. That means that their weight is 10%. Database functions you can skip. Event naming is very important, just enable use the standard settings. Loot frame also important, make sure that you tick off replace blizzard. So you have, basically you will get 2 loot windows, one for Morgdkp2 and one for blizzard. The reason is that sometimes you might have difficulties with the Morgdkp2 loot window, so you want to use the blizzard one instead. Syncing we turn off because the syncing happens through the website. And waitlist might be an option you want to use when you keep a separate wait list and you want to reward people for it. And here you can configure all the options. The waitlist, by the way, is a optional thing. You can also turn it off. DKP modules, there you select the actual DKP system that you're using. So we use fixed DKP. We have been using DKP over time in the past as well, but you can basically do any system that you prefer and select it over here. What is also important is the DKP take off-spec settings. What you do here is configure how much relative to the need value, which you define for every item when you loot it. The add-on remembers how much relative to the need value the take and off-spec DKP values are for an item. So imagine that an item costs 100 DKP on need, and then you can, for example, select, so if you enable take, so people can take on items, you say that it is a take percentage. The take value is 100%. 100, that means 100%, which means it's 100% of the need, and if the need value was like 100 DKP, that means 100% of 100 is 100. So that item would cost 100 DKP here. Same for the off-spec, we use 0%, we give it away for free. So 0% of 100 is 0, so it will cost 0 DKP. Now you might wonder, why are we using relative values, percentage? For example, for Thunderfort items, you say the item is not 100 DKP but 120 DKP, and then you could use a percentage of that instead. For example, in the past we said off-spec is half, so then this would be like 50%. And DKP over time is how much DKP do you get for which time unit. And also use the standard thing over there. Okay, those were the and you will get something like this. The biggest thing you want to probably do is make sure that you set the correct font size, because by standard is a big bit. Reset frames might sometimes be useful as well if the add-on is in the wrong place. It's also a great way for yourself to check if the Morgdkp2 add-on is actually active. We've done the one-time setup for Morgdkp2. I will show you now how to do the raiding and looting, and what you need to do, how you can use the add-on to track DKP and give out items accordingly. The first thing you need to do is make sure that you are sitting in a raid group and that you have enabled MasterLooter. Always important. And make sure that you set the loot threshold to the right one that you also set in the Morgdkp2. So for this demo I will use uncommon, but normally we use epic. The next thing you do is you enter the instance, and normally then the add-on will, the Morgdkp2 add-on will automatically enable itself, but because Raid's Value Chasm that we use here as a very scary test raid, it's not really a raid, you have to manually do it. You then go to Morgdkp2, you enable it, and you set start raid. Okay, and then you kill some stuff until you get some loot. Okay, so we got some loot, a recipe here. And you want to hand it out. And what happens when you right click, you see the Blizzard loot window over here, and you see the Morgdkp2 window over here. And because there's only one item selected here, and then you have the submenu over here. The first thing you need to do is define how much DKP that particular item will be. So what you do is you can increase and decrease the value by either using the scroll mouse, or using alt click, or shift click, shift right click to increase or decrease the amount of DKP the item is worth. Let's suppose this recipe is 100 DKP. So let's put 100 here. Next thing you have to do is define which classes are eligible. First you select the primary classes, and if you have alts, all secondary classes, you can define them here. We don't use the distinction between main classes and alt classes, but yeah, if you do, this is the way to do it. For example, for tier pieces, you would typically select the pieces that are the classes that are eligible for that tier piece, so it doesn't pop up for everybody else. But most of the time you want to have all the classes to show it, so you click on all on the bottom and it will select all the classes. Next you click on the dice, and that will actually send out a query to your raid asking, okay, do you really want to have this item for 100 DKP? If you do that, what happens if you have Morgdkp2 installed, you will get a pop-up like this. And the first one, the dice means need. That means that you really want to have the item. Take and spec are here as well. And see that the text is similar to the one you defined in the configuration. Furthermore, you can see that it's 100 points. That is the value. So every player in your raid that has the add-on will see this, and he or she can click on it. Furthermore, every raid member will get a pop-up like this that will show how much DKP they currently have and what their current status is. And since we didn't say updating, we didn't enable it, I can only see what other people choose once they actually click as a raider, that is. However, as a MasterLooter, you have more insight. For example, I can already see here that Inigo has done take, because this is the status window of that particular item. And you can have multiple items over here. Just right click to select an item. So imagine that I don't need it, I pass. So now I can see it's completed, Inigo takes it, I pass. Furthermore, there are two important buttons over here. This one is really important. Imagine that I stated the amount of DKP wrongly for this item. Then you can just stop the query, and then you can run it again, and it will pop up again for your members. It's also handy if somebody, for example, misclicked and you wanna see what happened. And then other button next to it is give to disenchanter, and for this you need to set the disenchanter. That is something you need to do every raid, which you can do in the top menu here. So this guy is, I would make Inigo the disenchanter. So just go there, click on it, click on the select menu, and then if you want to hand out the loot, make sure that the Blizzard loot window is open. You click on the name of the person, it will ask for confirmation, you say yes, and in raid chat you will see blah 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 awarded for so much DKP to blah. Now you see that it's 0. Why is it 0? It was 100. Well, that's because the item was given as an off-spec item, and we defined off-spec as 0% of the need, which was 100 DKP here, so 0% of 100 DKP is 0. You can also check and edit the DKP given out during the raid by control right clicking, and you will get the raid tracker. In the raid tracker you can see how much DKP was given to who. I already know why. It was 100. And there you can, for example, fix the amount of DKP. So it was indeed 0, it should be 100. There are a couple of things you can do here. You can specify the amount of DKP if it was wrong. You can change the person that got it. You can also change the events, for example boss kill or star, and who should get the DKP for that. So for example I gave 100 DKP at the start automatically. And there are some tabs here at the bottom that does some additional things. So the item DB is where all the different items and how much DKP they are is being tracked. So if you, for example, entered the wrong amount of DKP and you want to fix it later on, this is the place to do it. And also which classes are eligible. Aliases is really handy if you have people in the raid that are on an alt, for example, and you want to have their main pay. You first select the member that's in the raid, the name, and then you select the name in the database that it should be. So, and then you do add. and it will remember this over the RAID and export it also to the website. And the last one is DKP changes, and that is if you want to do manually add manually events like a boss kill or change DKP. So you have done the looting, you have done your raiding. Next thing you do, you go out of the instance, and the game will ask, do you want to enter raid? And you say yes. And typically you get a menu like this, and add these attendees. This is when you have the time tracking on. Typically you want to count the last couple of minutes as well on the last part, so you say yes and add. And then your raid is done. When you have ended the raid, you have to export the raid, which you do as follows. You click on export raid. You will get a menu like this. This is actually the DKP string, which is selected, as you cannot see. Perhaps now, yes, here it is, with a lot of information. You press Ctrl+C to copy it to your clipboard, and then you import that string on your website. But I'll show that in a separate video. Clear the RAID database. You typically want to do that. Basically what this means is that you clean up the internal tracking of Morgdkp2, which can grow really big, and you don't want it because you're tracking everything on the website. You select yes, and then everything is done. Saw, looting, disenchanting, querying for items is really fast, it's really easy, and also it's very nice that other people can see how much DKP they have themselves, and what other people have, and also in the real-time version get updates of how it looks. And in this clip you actually see how the loot distribution is working in practice in a 25-man raid. And you can see the updates go pretty quick. Most of the time you're just waiting for people to make up their minds, and not so much about hassling about the add-on. If you have any issues or bugs with the add-on, you can file a ticket on the Ace2 website, the link over here. And if you want to learn more about how do I import and export from the website, an DKP website to the add-on, and how do I import from the WoW add-on back to the website, then check out these videos. And of course, if you like this video, please like it on YouTube. Thanks.